Hola mi gente, ¿cómo están? Mi nombre es Alba Mar, me pueden decir Alba, el canal se llama Seriela y estamos aquí para hablar de libros, algunos de ellos en español desde Puerto Rico. Hello, my name is Alba Mar, you may call me Alba, the channel name is Seriela. We're here to talk about books and some of them in Spanish from Puerto Rico. Today we're going to talk about Nonfiction November, and I'm going to link Olives at a Book Olives announcement video in the description box below. And you know that is my first love, nonfiction, and I'm going to try to give you some recommendations, nonfiction reads about Puerto Rico and by Puerto Rican authors. But before I start with that, I want to invite you to fill out the form that Robert at Barter Hordes has on his video asking for judges for next year's Booktube prize. You know that was just celebrated last month and they're already starting to organize for next year, 2020. And there's going to be a nonfiction element for next year's prize, and I signed up for it, and I hope a lot of you do also. So I'm going to also link that down in the description box below. Sorry, there was a sound truck announcing medical services for our elderly to get from their house to the doctor's office. Yeah. I don't know if you've seen it, but just, type in Nonfiction November 2019 in the search bar on YouTube, and you're going to find some fantastic videos with a wide array of compelling titles and interesting topics. So yeah, and I'm going to link, I told you I'm going to link Olive's channel. I'm going to link also Cousins at Always Doing, because she linked a blog version of Nonfiction November, which I had no idea was taking place. Now, both the Booktube version and the blog version have Instagram challenges that are very interesting also, and I'm going to try all of that. Now to the prompts. This year, there are 4 words, and each of these words we are at liberty to interpret as we see fit. The first one is design. And it could be the design of the book, which is what I chose here for the design of this book. Sounds of Watching, Sonidos del Avistamiento. Why? Because this book is very well designed. Completely bilingual, very well made. Javier, this book is a visual introduction to urban ornithology in Old San Juan. These are pictures of birds that he saw in Old San Juan. Javier A. Roman Nieves, who is an architect but also a wonderful photographer. It's a great eye. And when he sent me the book, right, a nice note, a photograph. I don't know if you can see the photograph. I think that's a reinita. And bookmarks that go with the book. I love this. This is one of the first books that I showed on the channel when I started. I love this book. Sounds of Watching, Sonidos de Avistamiento, about birds in Old San Juan. Thinking about design, because agriculture requires a lot of planning, which is one of the synonyms for design, right? This is a book written by Maria Benedetti, Sembrando y Sanando en Puerto Rico, Tradiciones y Visiones para un Futuro Verde. Sembrando is Basically, this is agriculture, organic agriculture in Puerto Rico. And part of that organic agriculture includes sanando, using herbal herbs as medicine. And the plants that we have that are indigenous here to Puerto Rico and grow here everywhere, and have been used by our jibaros to heal different illnesses. Now this book, excuse me, is a series of interviews, very, very interesting, interviews with at least 10 organic farmers in Puerto Rico. And she asks them different questions about how to use different plants for your health, and the experiences that these farmers had in the mountains of Puerto Rico and on the coast also, in treating themselves with the plants and herbs that we find in Puerto Rico. Yeah, it has a beautiful, beautiful introduction and prologue. Yeah, she signed it for me. Maria Benedetti has a wonderful preface about her motives for writing this book, because when she first was in Puerto Rico doing her studies, she had a wonderful time. And then when she returned later, I think it was 7 years later, she'd already seen the destruction, the erosion of the lands, the contamination in the water systems and the aquifers de Puerto Rico, and what pesticides had done to a lot of the plants which were disappearing. And I've seen that. I've been a witness to that. Before, when I was very young, we used to see miramelindas, beautiful little flowers all along the roads in Puerto Rico. No longer see them anymore. So this is a beautiful, beautiful book for people who are interested in farming, organic farming, and herbal medicines. Another one for design is plans that people had. This was a plan. It's called Plan Dracula. Yeah, Dracula, because it was, I guess it was because it was draconian. This was a project. It's called The Secret Negotiations Between Luis Muñoz Marín and the Navy. This book was written by historian Evelyn Vélez Rodriguez, and it is about the secret negotiations between the first elected governor in Puerto Rico, Luis Muñoz Marín, and the Navy to depopulate the islands of Vieques and Culebra. You know, Puerto Rico is an archipelago. There are 3 islands. Our big one, which is not very big, the main island, and then 2 smaller islands, which are Culebra and Vieques. And this is a book about how the Secretary of Defense, Robert McNamara, asked Luis Muñoz Marín to la expulsión, to, I'll think of it. I'll put it up here when I look it up, and relocate all the people in the islands of Vieques and Culebra. Le pidió la expulsión y relocalización de todos los habitantes de las islas municipios de Vieques y Culebra. Yeah. If that wasn't some kind of a design, I don't know what is. Yeah. So that's a book about that plan. Another part of that plan was getting rid of the people in Culebra. And there we have the little island of Culebra, which has some of the most beautiful beaches in the entire world. I haven't gone, but I've seen it in photographs, and I would really love to get there someday. It's not easy because our ferries don't work very well between the main island and Vieques and Culebra. Yeah, it's a big scandal. So this book is called Target Culebra, which is in English, written by Richard D. Kopakin, who was the lawyer representing the 743 islanders. The subtitle is How 743 Islanders Took on the Entire U.S. Navy and Won. Yeah, very interesting book. Target Culebra. Number 2 prompt is sports. And I'm not too much of a sports person, but one of the people who is beloved in Puerto Rico and will be beloved always is Roberto Clemente. I will put up a picture here of one of the books that is for adults. Because when you look for books on Roberto Clemente, most of them are for younger readers, children's literature and middle grade. And there are very few written for adults. And I'm going to link one for adults right here. And then we have Raymond Dalmau. Raymond Dalmau from Harlem a Puerto Rico. Written by Raymond Dalmau Pérez with Hiram Sánchez Martínez. This is in Spanish. With a prologue by Benicio del Toro, the actor. Because Benicio del Toro had been after Raymond Dalmau for a long time for him to write his memoirs. Raymond Dalmau was part of a basketball team that came down in the 70s, maybe late 60s, early 70s. And the basketball team turned out to have mostly Nuyorican basketball players, young Puerto Ricans who had been born or raised in the United States. There's a documentary, which I will link below, the trailer I will link below, called Nuyorican Básquet. It came out in 2017, very interesting, about that basketball team. Now it turns out that this basketball team in 1980 was supposed to represent Puerto Rico at the Olympics in Moscow, when the United States decided not to participate. And the Olympic Committee in Puerto Rico decided that it wanted to participate in the Olympics. And what happened then, during that time. And another thing I want to mention about this book, I'm going to link a picture that I took at the presentation. The presentation of this book in El Candil in Ponce was standing room only, because all of his old basketball buddies and, of course, all the fans came out to El Candil, so it was packed. There was Josian Baez, Larry Sailhammer, who is today one of our senators, but he was a basketball player on that team, and Joe Hatton. Yes, so we had all the basketball players there. And Hiram Sánchez Martínez, who is the one who helped him write the book in Spanish, used to be a judge on our Supreme Court. Yeah, and has written another book which is very interesting, another nonfiction book. So yeah, I recommend Raymond Dalmau From Harlem a Puerto Rico. That's for sports. And then we have True. This is a true story about a young Puerto Rican student who was in Barranquilla, if I'm not mistaken, Colombia, when she was kidnapped. And how José Enrique Colón Santana got her out. Yeah. Relato de la liberación de Rosa de la Cruz. The story of the liberation of Rosa de la Cruz. This is in Spanish, and it comes with a DVD. It was published, oh, it has maps and everything. It was published by laliberacion.com. Okay. And yeah, and that's José Enrique Colón Santana. Okay, another true story. This is a biography written by Carmen Dolores Hernández and Ricardo Alegría. Una vida, a life. Ricardo Alegría was the founder and the director of the Institute of Puerto Rican Culture, and is one of the reasons why there are so many books that have been written about Puerto Rican history and culture. Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know why I got cut off. Anyway, I was telling you about Don Ricardo Alegría, and one of the reasons why we have so many books on different aspects of Puerto Rican history and culture is because Don Ricardo Alegría later on started a group that studied advanced studies in Puerto Rican culture and Puerto Rican studies. And it was first affiliated with the State University of New York in Albany, I think it was, or Syracuse, one of those two places. Anyway, and then it became accredited on its own. And a lot of the most recent historians in Puerto Rico come out of that group of Estudios Avanzados del Caribe. Yeah. And then I just wanted to let you know that True History of Puerto Rico, this chunker by Francisco Ascarano, is due. We're due for a new history book in Puerto Rico because this one goes up to 1992, but it is pretty complete. 5 centuries of history by Francisco Ascarano. You can get this anywhere as a used book. Then the last prompt is voice. And of course, for voice, we speak Spanish in Puerto Rico. Yeah. And Luz Nereida Pérez is one of the people that we turn to here in Puerto Rico when we have doubts about how to use Spanish correctly. And she started off with this one, ¿Cuál es tu duda?, which was so popular that she had to do a volume 2, and then a volume 3, and then a volume 4 of ¿Cuál es tu duda?, because people are always asking, well, can you say this, can you say that? And then a compilation of her newspaper articles, because that's where we first learned about Luz Nereida Pérez, who happens also to be the co-owner of El Candil, which is my favorite bookstore. So, another book for voices. Negro, Negra, Afirmacion y Resistencia, Memorias del Primer Congreso de Afrodescendencia en Puerto Rico. This is about affirmation and resistance, the memories of the first Congress of Afro-descendants in Puerto Rico. And what I liked about this was that it has a presentation on one of the books that I just read, Fe en Disfraz by Mayra Santos Febres. And does a very good analysis about the presence of the black person in literature in Puerto Rico. Yeah, it was wonderful. And I think, no, voice. Last one I want to talk about with voice really fast is this one, Prohibido Cantar, de Maggie Marrero. And this is published by Mariana Editors, Editores Mariana. And this is about music, protest music that had been censored, and the musicians that had been followed by the police because they had police files made on them, on the composers of the songs, the singers of the songs, and leaders in the independence movement. Now the prologue to this is very moving to me because it's written by another person who also wrote about popular music in Puerto Rico, and that is Jose Enrique Ayoroa Santaliz. He wrote this prologue about maybe 5 years ago while he was living in Bogota, Colombia. Unfortunately, he is now hospitalized in New York and battling cancer. And we wish the best for Jose Ayoroa Santaliz. Nos hace mucha falta. Yeah, so this is a very, very interesting book about why we don't listen to some of this protest music on the radio, for real. So yeah, again, visit the different channels. Search Nonfiction November 2019 on Booktube, on Instagram, on Twitter. Get involved. You're going to be flabbergasted, amazed. You're going to enjoy all the videos that have been made about nonfiction, which is my favorite. So happy reading, everybody. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your time. Take care. Cuídense mucho, mi gente. Sigan leyendo. Adiós.